What's
Dude,
up, Sean?
No fucking...
We're on.
Oh.
We're live. What's going on, everybody? I hope you enjoy the intro music. I literally just figured out how to do this over the last 5 minutes on StreamYard. But yeah, what's going on, everybody? It's the first episode of Combat and Cocktails featuring myself, John. You can find me on Twitter at MMAFox, and Shawn Orr, who most of you I'm sure already know, who you can find on Twitter at Shawn Orr. So, guys, if you like the show, drop a like, subscribe. It would help us out. We may move this to its own channel. I don't know yet. Right now, it's under the Club and Sub banner. We're going to be doing a bit more content now that me and Danny are doing it on Sunday nights. I think Danny may launch a prop show in the near future as well. Just real quick, the reason we decided to do this, Shawn and I think when we first chatted about this over the summer, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute now, actually. And honestly, I didn't even know we were going with it until John just posted up the tweet. He was like, all right, we're going live on Thursday. So I'm like, all right, we're finally going to do this thing. So here we are.
Yes. And basically the general gist of it that I'll just give you guys is like, we've talked ad nauseum about, no one needs another MMA betting breakdown show. There's about 1 million of them in the space. I, for one, have an MMA betting breakdown show. So if we were going to do something, it was going to be something we're going to do that's fun. And I think that's going to be the goal here. Try to have some fun, keep it more free-flowing. Obviously, we're going to talk betting. I mean, that's what we do. So, but we're going to try to have fun. Anything you guys want us to talk about in the chat, we'll go over. You guys want to talk pop culture, we can talk that too. And obviously, in about 2 seconds, we're going to start making some cocktails. I think we're going to start off with Shawn Orr's Negroni here. We did not coordinate wearing gray, Dixon. No, that did not happen. But yeah, so I don't know what cadence we're going to do this on. I don't know if it's going to be every week or just for after big cards or before maybe, some event-based cards. I said to Shawn today, we could just do it for different locations and come out with a drink based on, that location. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're going to run with it. Shawn, you want to take it away? Tell us what we're drinking. First drink.
Oh, man. All right. So are we going with the Negroni first? So that's mine.
We're going with the Negroni first. Yeah.
All right. So you need a glass. Okay.
I need 2 glasses. Give me 1 second. I just forgot.
Yeah, I forgot ice. Yeah. So we'll wait for John to come back before we get going. Shit, man. I wish you guys could see my desk right now. So much stuff on it for this. I was not prepared whatsoever by the array of crap that I need to make cocktails with. So, so we got the glass. Little story behind this glass here. Okay. So, DraftKings in Scottsdale, for whatever reason, the first couple times I went in there, they were trying to woo me. So they gave me official DraftKings crystal. This is actually from Italy. And I have the actual thing that holds the liquor. I don't know the name of it. You probably do, John. And then also gift cards. And then they limited me, 3 weeks later once they realized I'm not a scrub. So I don't go to DraftKings in Scottsdale anymore. All right. So you get your glass and you get an ice cube. Ice cube right here.
1 ice cube. We're doing 1 ice cube?
I do 1. You could do as many as you want.
How big an ice cube are we talking here?
Well, I mean, I have these. I have real rocks.
I have those too, but they're not frozen yet. I waited way too long to put them in the freezer
just
today.
Put 3 ice cubes in there then.
All right. My biggest goal for the night is to make it somewhat fun and also not ruin my desk for tomorrow.
Yeah. I literally had to move so much shit just to make room here. This is my office as well, so work from home, stand up. All right. So, Big Steve's dad. There we go. Ribs.
It's a real one.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go with some gin. Okay. Now,
what kind of gin are you drinking?
Oh, this is, I don't know, Kirkland's London gin.
I respect Kirkland.
It's good. I mean, it's good and it costs nothing. So we got this gin here, and they tell you to do 1 part gin, 1 part vermouth, and 1 part Campari.
Campari, right? Yeah.
So for me, I usually just eyeball it, but because we're being professional, I've got one of these right here. So we're going to do this. We're going to put 1 of the gin. We are going to do, let's put this over here. Jesus, there's so much shit. We're going to do 1 of the vermouth. Yes, sir. Get the vermouth in there. And only spill a little bit on your desk.
I already got a bit on my desk. We're in trouble.
It's
a rough start.
And then we're doing the Campari now. Oh, here we go. Spilling it.
Yeah, it's gonna be like real sticky when I'm trying to work here tomorrow.
This is cinematic too, because you guys actually can't see anything of what I'm doing. So I'm going to show you the final product.
You have way better. You have that like Hollywood vibe to it. I just look like a fucking work from home bum in his office right now.
Well, this is a web camera, so not exactly Hollywood. So here it is right here. My dumbass did not bring in a stirrer.
I didn't either.
For the sake of just saving some time here, I'll use a pen. Because again, this is a
one of my son's markers.
There we go. We stir that baby up. Now this is a classy drink, right?
Yeah, I almost called this the Finer Things Club before I settled on Combat and Cocktails.
That would have been a good name, but Combat and Cocktails really gets to the point. So, yeah, Negroni. So, and if you want to get fancy here, you could do one of these too.
Is that an orange peel?
Little orange peel.
Oh, I bought some orange peels by Tillin Farms from the Stonewall Kitchen today.
Wait, they're pre-peeled orange peels?
They are pre-peeled orange peels.
Are they candied or something? What is it?
Yeah, they're candied.
Okay.
I didn't realize
cool.
There's a lot of sugar in there.
No, that's cool, actually. I like that. So I used an orange and I peeled it.
Well, I was thinking of doing that, but I was a little worried about cutting my thumb off on screen with a paring knife. Like, it's.
Oh, come on, buddy. You got a pre-peel. Look at this. So here's the peel. Peeled orange. And then we got some more peels in here.
All right.
We drink to taste.
Now we do it.
Right?
Cheers. We're going to see how it goes. Not bad. Not bad.
Classic.
Pretty good. All right. So, shall we jump into the combat part of the show here?
Let's do it.
So, we are coming off UFC 313 last week. Alex Bejeda was conquered by Magomed Ankalaev. Some small controversy on Twitter about the decision. You and I were both live on Narco Cop Spaces chatting, that live. And we both, I think, thought live that Alex was likely to get it. Have you come off that at all in the since then? Like, what are your general thoughts?
I mean, I don't care. I think it was close, right? Close-ish. But I figured since it was close-ish, they were going to give it to Alex. And probably part of that feeling for me too was because, at the last minute, you had rightfully persuaded me into going with the Ankalaev bet. Now, to your credit, I will say this, to your credit, I didn't think I called, I guess to my credit, I called he wasn't going to be able to take Alex down. I didn't think he had good wrestling.
You did say that.
Now, to your credit, you said, well, I think Ankalaev can compete with him standing. And I said, there's no fucking chance. What are you talking about? But I ended up making the bet on the premise of, okay, well, the wrestling, right? He might get a takedown and I can arb off live, right? When that didn't come to fruition and then he outstruck him, I was like, God damn, John, what a fucking call. Good call, dude.
But I do think, I sort of think a lot of that had to do with Alex being much more reserved in his striking to defend the wrestling threat versus if he wasn't allowed to shoot takedowns, I don't think it's really that competitive, to be honest. But you could see Alex wasn't trying to throw much to the body with kick wise, wasn't letting his hands go to overextend at all. So I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, wasn't there some kind of a rumor that he was injured or something?
Yeah,
Like
he
his hand
that's
or
what he
something?
says.
Okay.
But
I
he
mean,
probably
I don't think he bullshit. I mean,
no, but I mean, also, I always like when I hear that, I'm always like, these guys are fucking training for combat sports, in a camp. Like, how many of them are actually 100% healthy coming out of camp? You
yeah,
know?
it's like football in the playoffs. It's like if
Yeah,
you're healthy in the playoffs, something went miraculously right for you. But I would say the fact he didn't throw too many hands is a little bit strange, right?
yeah, very strange.
Because he didn't throw really much of anything, and I know the kicks were working for him, but he wasn't doing enough, to
No, and
really.
it's like how many decisions have we seen in the last 3 years where judges just de-emphasize kicks completely unless you're absolutely crippling guys.
Yeah,
So I
that's why
think
I
that
was.
played a role.
That was why I was excited about Castaneda over Gutierrez. Good fucking luck kicking a southpaw, but then that got canceled.
I was bummed we lost that because the card ended up being. I mean, it was an okay card. It wasn't like anything special. What do you think on Quinn's question here? More boring champ, Anchor Bilal.
Ank.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually think Bilal is kind of electric, to be honest. What has Bilal done to warrant that he's a boring champ at this point? I mean, his win over Leon was way more exciting than Ank's win over Alex, in my opinion.
I completely agree. Actually, we can talk about that in the next segment after the next drink, but I actually think that was a pretty interesting fight on rewatch, to be honest. A much more competitive fight than the general narrative around that fight. Having said that, you know what I like about Bilal? He's actually embracing the villain role, and he's not doing it in like a cartoonish way. Like, Colby Covington, he embraced the villain role, with being like in a super pro Trump, but it was cartoonish. It wasn't particularly clever. It was like banging you over the head with like a hammer. And I feel like Bilal is doing it in a much more creative way, taking advantage. I mean, I shouldn't. He is a Muslim, so I don't want to say he's taking advantage of something going wrong with the world. But but like there's a real issue, where it's like everybody's lining up on both sides, like it's the Avengers Civil War, and he is like being vocal about it. He's talking shit to fans. I respect it. I respect a good villain more than a good, a good baby face.
Yeah, so do I, honestly. And like, if you're going to be hated, just lean into it and be hated more. That's always the advice. Like,
Chael Sonnen.
Chael Sonnen. I'll say this years ago. So I'm friendly with a fighter you guys might remember, Jamie Varner. And he had to take he basically had a heel moment where he had to not continue in the Cowboy Cerrone fight because of fouls in the WEC. And it's funny because back then, stopping fighting was even crazier than like an Aljamain doing it today, right? Back then it was like inconceivable. But the guy really did have a torn fucking retina. They hung the goddamn picture at the gym to show everybody. He had a torn fucking retina. He couldn't continue. He had to have surgery. But anyways, I remember Frank Mir, who was the commentator at the time, told Jamie, he's like, dude, just turn full heel. He's like, it's working for Chael. He's like, it could work for you, but he wouldn't do it because he wasn't, some guys don't have it in them to do what Bilal's doing. Like what Bilal's doing, honestly, takes a little bit of balls. You got to basically be like, I'm going to be hated. That's tough.
Yeah.
So,
and I will, to bring it back to Colby for a second, I will say the most edgy moment he had was none of the Trump shit he did, none of that, because that's like, first of all, it's MMA, so it's probably the most skewed towards Trump audience, that there is of any major sport.
They literally introduce him at the events.
yeah. But on top of that, it's like, that's just like such low-hanging fruit. But him going into Brazil after beating Demian Maia, and I know I don't agree with the sentiments, but calling, Brazilians filthy animals in the middle of Brazil. Now that actually took a set of balls, like that was a good heel moment. But
a bit dangerous, to be honest.
I'd say more than a bit dangerous. Didn't he get attacked by like Fabricio Werdum on the street? Didn't he hit him in the head with a boomerang or something?
He got attacked by Werdum there. He got attacked by Masvidal elsewhere. He got attacked by Ali El Daziz or whatever. He's been attacked many times from this shit,
This white bread and mayonnaise kid from the Midwest.
I mean,
Just
I'm
getting
not
it.
a Colby fan personally, but I can respect what he's trying to do, to sell the fight. I mean, you got to do stuff like that in the sport. Nobody's going to pay attention if there isn't like a dramatic conflict involved. The sport is
I,
good, but, the narratives matter.
I enjoyed Colby just for no other reason than people hated him so much and hated his
Mm.
style so much that it just like, it's one of those things when you can take a contrarian angle that's consistently right because, the entire market really just strongly dislikes someone's style and who they are as a person. Like Colby had reasonable betting odds for pretty much his entire run up, up until he fought Usman. It's kind of similar in some respects to like Marab, right? Like Marab was literally bettable in almost every single one of his fights that he's had, other than like Gustavo Lopez. Even though he's like maybe the best 135 pounder we've ever seen, we just got to bet him at plus 250 against Umar Nurmagomedov, because people just don't like Marab.
Yeah.
It's that, and I just love. I don't want to say rooting for those guys, but there's a special place in my heart when you identify one of those guys that the market is just way off on,
Oh, yeah.
and just never figures out. But let's turn it back to UFC 313.
We love betting on them. That's for sure.
Yeah. We'll bring it. What did you think of the Gaethje Fiziev fight? I thought, honestly, look, I cashed out of my Fiziev bet before the fight, but I thought Fiziev looked career worst. To me, he looked slow. He looked unathletic. It was a very, very bizarre. It was honestly, he looked so bad. It was kind of shocking in retrospect that he won the first round. Like, did you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, he won the first round because of grappling, right?
Yeah.
What if I told you that before the fight? Yeah, Fiziev's going to win round one because he's going to out grapple Justin Gaethje. I mean, the fight was fucking weird.
Someone said it. Someone said it on their podcast last week.
You said he grappled Justin.
I said I thought Fiziev had pretty big grappling upside the fight.
Wow, really? Yeah. It seems kind of odd. Good call, I guess. Holy shit. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was pretty obvious, right, that Fiziev, he didn't have a training camp.
Yeah.
Number one, you already lost to this guy when you had a full training camp. So now he has no training camp. He comes in looking like he's not in good cardio shape. And truthfully, it looked like he didn't know how to find his range because you know how Fiziev likes to reach out and kind of measure and then he attacks you all at once. He could never get a rhythm at any point in that fight. So bad look for him, but he already announced he's going to move down in weight, which I think is a good move for him because
he looks small, compared to Gaethje.
He's small in all of his fights, bro.
But he looked, what's concerning for me, and maybe it's the lack of a camp. It could be that. And that's one of the things I didn't buy coming in. I'm like, these guys on Instagram, he's a coach at Tiger Muay Thai. He's in the gym every day. Like, is he really not in fight shape? Like, I find that hard to believe, but I guess not. But he seemed to have like none of his normal quick twitch to him that you're used to seeing. Like it was like, usually that makes up for all the other gaps in his size. And instead it was just like short guy who is slow, which is not great when you're fighting Justin Gaethje.
You think about it, to go back to what you just said, he's a coach, he's training all the time. I do think when we're looking at fights and we're talking about somebody who had no camp and how it's going to affect them, I do think it's a case-by-case basis because Fiziev was already a guy on a full camp. He would get tired in round 3 in his fights, right?
Yeah.
And he also uses a ton of explosion. That type of fighting ability and athleticism requires like a upward trajectory and peaking during training camp to have that ability. If you didn't have that, you lose what's special about him, right? Which is his explosion. So,
and there's also just some guys I think that stay ready. Like you go back to the COVID era, when you had like guys like Bobby Green and Kevin Holland fighting 6 times in a year, even like Cody Stammen, and it's like these guys are just gym freaks, for
lack of right?
Yeah, and they're just they're like, it's funny because it's maybe the worst thing about Kevin Holland, like someone like that, but I don't think Kevin Holland's like day to day changes very much, whether he's training for a fight for 12 weeks or training for a fight for 1 week. Like what you see is what you get, which is kind of which means he's never going to reach his potential, but it also means that you have a pretty good idea of where his floor is, irrespective of the situation that he's coming into.
Yeah. He's going to train with purple belts in jiu-jitsu no matter who he's fighting. That's Kevin Holland.
Now, is there anything else on this card? So like 313, the rest of it. I mean, Bahamondes Turner. I mean, do you want to talk about that fight? I mean, you posted
I'm pretty disgusted with that because it's funny. I was hoping I was going to get more hate on it. I didn't get a lot of hate. But some people did say, it was always going to be Bahamondes, and that Bahamondes, what was one guy said? He was like, well, this is the first tall guy that Turner ever fought. So it was always going to be Bahamondes. And I'm like, well, I mean, he got guard subbed. I mean, it had nothing to do with like height parity. He looked like Bahamondes looked like shit, bro. It's just Jalen Turner, for whatever reason, went into a guard sub, and now we know he wasn't really feeling a fighting career anymore after the fact. I wish I knew that before I put in my bet.
Well, the funny thing is, and I'm not going to say what it is on air, but we both had some info about Bahamondes in the background, and I texted you after the fight, and I'm like, I guess Turner planning to retire after the fight was better info than the info that we had. But the funny thing is, when Bahamondes basically pulled guard, I was like, this is going to be an easy 30-27. Like this is a joke, And I thought that up until he locked the triangle in, and even the triangle, I'm watching it happen, and I'm like, oh, he's not in danger. He's going for this so slow. Yeah. And then I was like, and you're on Mike's face. You're like, no, that's in tight. I'm just like, what just happened? Like he never. Yeah. It was awful. And I don't know if you saw Turner's interview with Aaron Bronstetter after.
I did.
It sounds like he's got some pretty big demons right now, so like I feel bad for him in that respect. Like he did not seem particularly well mentally, like during, not that he seemed crazy or anything, but you could see he seemed like someone who's been battling with the idea of whether or not he wants to fist fight and get punched in the head for a living for a long time,
which is fair. And I think you and I are the type of people who, we could place a bet on somebody like Jalen Turner and lose, and it's an annoying loss like that, but I'm not going to sit here and bash the guy. I'm not going to be like,
no,
what a piece of shit. Like you'll see the comments on like some of these things, and I'm like, why? Like,
I mean, at the end of the day, you or I and most of us and most of the people who follow this sport, except for a few, and like credit to them, we're not going to go in there and get fucking punched in the face for a living. Like I'm not willing to do. I'm not going to go in there and risk CTE for 12 and 12. That is definitely not worth it.
Don't even add the second 12 because we're not getting a win bonus.
Yeah.
Going in there for 12. Okay.
And that's like we'll talk about this in a second, but yeah, I mean, I just felt. It's just annoying when that happens. It's like the same thing, like one of your fighters you bet on gets an injury or something like in the middle of a fight, or you bet on 3 straight championship matches where your fighter gets finished in round 5 while up in the fight. That kind of thing. Just
if you read the signs of the universe, you knew that was going to happen, right?
Bro, all right. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably get back to him somehow, and it'll get mentioned on like Elf Spaces or something. I don't give a fuck though. But like Man of the Library and I had a bet on. We were on a Spaces with Narco Cop earlier in the day, and he was telling me how the fight was fixed and Glover was fucked and all this shit. And I was like, all right, dude, why don't we just fucking bet it no vig? Like I'll bet it with you. Like, how much do you want to bet it for? And so we had like $600 on it. I had Glover like plus 200 or something, and he had Jerry basically minus 200. And it's like that happens, and I'm just like, that's like the most unlucky thing to happen ever. And I immediately like get a message from him. He's like, bro, thank you for paying me, but I told you it was written. And it's just like
he leaned in, he doubled down.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit.
It felt real bad. So
that's funny.
Yeah. Is there anything else on this card that was worth talking about? I mean, Bobby Green looked horrible. I don't think that we don't need to talk about that.
No, that's just sad.
I guess we could talk about the fact that Myron Santos, I thought more or less robbed Francis Marshall.
He did
in that fight. Yeah, which really fucking sucked because like it took my night from being like biggest night of the year territory to being pretty good, which is between that and Jalen Turner. It's always like shitty when it's like I should be happy at the end of the night, and I'm just still thinking about the fact that like the second fight of the early prelims, like basically dictated my entire night. So yeah.
I mean,
So,
I should have I had a positive night, winning night, but you know, the Jalen Turner fight was a 7-unit swing for me, you know, because it was a 3.5 unit bet. So I lost 3,500 on that fight, which losing that way is just like, okay, fuck me, you know. But what can you do, dude? Like, you got to take your shots. That's it. But
sure.
I felt like Marshall like straight up got robbed though. Like I thought.
What I just could like, my thing was, and even like watching it back, it's like, if you want to get to 2 Santos rounds, it's like you've got to get to it on him landing, you know, a few hard leg kicks and not really landing any. Like even round 2, which I saw was like a consensus Santos round, it's like Santos gets wobbled early in the round, then he kind of outpoint strikes him for like 2.5 minutes, and then he spends the last minute and a half getting grappled, and it's like, did him outpoint striking him outweigh getting wobbled and like getting grappled for 90 straight seconds? Like I guess you could kind of get there in your mind, but it seems like I felt like going into the decision that like Marshall was like 95% to get it, and
yeah,
you know,
I was predicting two judges to be 29-28 Marshall and one judge to be 30-27,
and we got a 30-27 for Marshall, ironically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was extremely, I mean, Dixon says UFC's heavily invested in Myron, and like, it's funny because I was even pretty bullish on Myron going into that fight. I only bet it because I'm like, dude, he's fighting a guy with like 4 UFC fights who's fought like real competition and can grapple. Like, how does he move to -400? But I walked away from that fight being, I guess I'm still bullish on his athleticism, Myron's, but I feel like he kind of showed that he still has some pretty big deficiencies everywhere. Like Francis Marshall, you mentioned it, Sean. One of the reasons you didn't play him like, he's not that good a grappler, you know? And he was getting to his hips with 0 issue in that fight.
Yeah.
So
and
I think pretty bearish.
I thought Myron, obviously he's young, so we'll see how he develops. He's really young. So it's hard to criticize the guy because he's in the UFC at 22 or whatever the heck he is.
Yeah.
But I did feel like the way he was fighting was he was trying to look cool. Like the way he was fighting was he was really worried about how he looked. Because if you compare that to the Offley fight, it looked night and day. Like he was trying to look way too cool in this fight. And I think the moment got to him, if I had to guess.
It seemed that way. And I also noted, like, I was expecting he was just going to sit back and wait on Marshall because, like, Marshall's got no defense. If he just waited and countered, he was going to light him up. But he just kept going first, and Marshall kept countering him. Like, Marshall, I expected some Marshall standing improvements. I did not expect Francis Marshall to be winning a counter-striking war with him, though. Like, that was not on my bingo card. So, yeah. But anyway, we should move on. Where are you at with your drink right now, Sean?
I'm done, buddy.
All right, so we'll go into the next drink, and then we'll start talking about a couple bets on this week, some fights down the road.
Yeah, I think Dixon kind of led us into one of them.
Oh, he's talking about Puja?
You said somebody's going to get robbed this weekend that I don't think is going to get robbed this weekend.
Well, we're going to find out. All right, so the next drink, we're going – so just this week, we're keeping it basic. We went with the Negroni, nice basic drink. Going to go with another one, but an oldie, but a goodie. It's called the Old Fashioned. Now, we're going to start this, a little bit of ice, or a lot of bit of ice, actually, as I like to do it. I don't really like drinking bourbon warm. Some people are part of that life. I am not. I don't have nearly enough hair on my balls or my chest to drink bourbon warm, but I do enjoy it with quite a bit of ice. So the way it's going to go, we're going to start with 1 part simple syrup. That is 1 ounce. We're going to go 4 shakes of the bitters. And then we're going to do 2 parts of bourbon.
Are you pouring it directly into the glass, or are you doing?
No, I'm gonna do the shaker. I gotta do a couple little rounds of ice here. So this is where it really gets dangerous. This is where it gets hazardous here. You know, by my desk.
Both hands now. I see.
Yeah, and I got my knees are engaged here too with the ice bucket. So
wait, so you're putting ice in the shaker and ice in the glass?
Yeah, dude.
What are you making, a fucking smoothie? What are you doing here?
Might as well. Bro, I am soft as baby shit, man. I am trying to make it as cold as possible at all times.
Well, you know I'm soft. You saw me in Vegas.
Yeah, we were in Vegas. Shawn had to tap out pretty early night number 1.
Yeah,
We did have a lot of mixed drinks, and we were following Luca Fury around as he took us from bar to bar. I mean, I can tell the story, right? No one's gonna. I don't think.
Well, hold on. You got to remember, before you arrived, Mike got me totally trashed. Like he was like making us drink old fashions, actually. But he gets like tons of free shit at the casinos and stuff. Like Mike's like a VIP of some kind, so we were getting tons of old fashions. It was great.
All right, so first of all, I'll tell the Vegas story in a second while we're having the cocktail. But all right, 1 part simple syrup, going 1 ounce here. Let's see, where's the ounce?
I'm using sugar. Where are you putting the syrup?
You're using sugar? I'm using the syrup. I'm going up to 1 ounce. You don't really need to do. You can just put the sugar and the bitters in the cup first and dissolve them together.
Okay.
That's the move if you're using sugar at home. I did post sugar at first. Bro, Chad, I'm gonna give you money, dude. Chill. I gotta get some money first. But but all right. So first of all, I 1 ounce simple syrup. Now, if you're doing bitters, we're gonna go 4 shakes of the bitters here. All right, 4 shakes. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I just dropped the cap. Hold on. I'm gonna teleport off screen here for a second.
Pause, everybody. Hold it.
I managed to somehow not rip the actual top from the thing holding the top on it, so now it's not closing. So that's good. Delightful. All right, now we go to the whiskey. Now this could be adventurous because I'm using Maker's Mark. I haven't opened it yet, and it's got the candle wax top. Can be problematic if I don't do it in 1 shot here. So
just to let you guys know, you don't have to go with whiskey. You could go with bourbon. You
could also, believe it or not, go with mezcal. You could go with mezcal as well. Yeah, I was reading that today. I've never tried it with mezcal, but it might be the next move.
I'm a big mezcal guy.
I am too. Mezcal's a classy drink. It's a classy drink. It's not for barbarians.
We didn't go to, in Vegas, they have that bar Ghost Donkey. Have you been to it?
No. I wish we could have gone there.
Ghost Donkey is a hidden bar in the Caesars food court. You have to literally go in this random area and it's hidden.
Kind of like Secret Pizza at the Costco.
Yeah.
Low-key great pizza in Vegas.
Very good. Yeah.
All right. 2 parts bourbon.
All right. Into the glass or into the mixer?
Into the mixer.
Okay, so I put the other stuff in the glass.
Okay, you're supposed to put it all together.
Well, you told me to pour it directly into the glass.
No, I said pour it in the mixer. I meant the mixer. I might have said glass.
This is recorded.
It is recorded. That is true. Oh, there's like my desk is gonna be so sticky. This is like legit. Oh god, fucking huge pet peeve. Me and Shawn have been talking about in the future filming this better and filming the drink segments beforehand from our kitchens. Where I don't mind if I spill whiskey on the floor. My cleaners will be there the next week to clean it up. But
all right.
Now, couple shakes here. Couple shakes. Oh, Dixon's saying Lou and Chad in an episode. I will tell you this: both Lou and Chad will be on this show. It is going to come. First episode's me and Shawn only. We're gonna make this. We're gonna do some pageantry here, though. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna do different themes. Like I said, we might do some pop culture. If people were asking about it, I was ready for people to ask about the real world. Or have you seen that new Shawn? Did you say you're a Summer House guy on Bravo?
No, but I will.
Oh, you got to watch Traitors on Bravo. It might be. It's up there.
Wait. Did you just said Summer House? Did you say Traitors?
I said Summer House first, but a lot of them are on Traitors.
Oh, okay. Because I watched every season of Traitors.
My wife and I just started season 1. It's fantastic.
Season 2 is the best because the goat is on it.
Johnny Bananas, right?
Yeah, but CT actually.
Oh, Johnny Bananas is the goat. Stop it. All right. So now we got the bird. Now we got the old fashioned poured. We're going back to the orange peel well here, guys. How to use a separate cup. Well, I would have used it anyway for taste purposes. But now, Shawn, we're going to do one of these with the orange peel. We're going to go around the rim. Around the rim. And into the cup. I'm going to do 2 just for posterity.
Rim job.
A little rim job.
That's an industry term. So if you guys are ever ordering this cocktail at a bar, make sure you ask them for a rim job. Okay.
The north south.
Yeah.
My hands are now sticky as fuck.
Okay.
All right, boys, but that's going to complete the old fashioned. Shawn, cheers. Everybody here at home, guys. I really want people to start getting the ingredients themselves. We'll all get fucked up together. It'll be fun.
Cheers.
Not bad.
I need another cube in here like you. Hey, by the way, fun fact with your cubes, because you said you like your cubes. People that drink whiskey straight are doing it wrong, because actually it was designed for the cube, because whiskey needs water to infuse into it to make it pull out its flavor. So anybody drinking it straight still, you're doing it wrong.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. And I have like friends who are like, oh my God, you're putting ice in your whiskey. And I'm like, bro, like, there's nothing I hate more in the world than people who want to like hate themselves while they drink. It's like, I'm having a cocktail with my friends. Like, okay, I want a stiff drink, but I want to enjoy it. I don't want to be like, in between sentences. Like, who enjoys that?
I'm not 19, 18 trying to prove myself anymore.
No, it's like all the fucking people in my mom's side of the family, the Italian part of the family, who were just drinking like triple shots of Zambuca and like drinking them and acting like they're enjoying them. It's like, no one fucking likes that, dude. Like, put it in a coffee or don't drink it. Like that's it.
Well, this is I think you did well here, buddy. This is pretty good.
Yeah, it's delightful. It should get us going here.
You didn't sorry to cut you off. You didn't follow up with the cherry though. That you're the one comment.
I bought cherries too. Shit.
I have cherries too, but I left my skewers in the kitchen.
Well, I'm just doing it by hand. My hands are gonna literally feel like I just jerked off an elephant right now with how fucking sticky they are. But
did you throw the cherries just in it?
I just threw them in it. Not the best idea, but here we go.
You see these right here? These cherries? These are the size of Chad's balls right here. You see these?
Big Steve's dad, you mean? Woo! All right.
Future guest, Chad catching strays.
Chad will be on the show. So will Lou Betcha. Honestly, we are open to other guests here. I don't, we want to have a fun time. Yeah, Quinn will definitely be on the show.
Lou Betcha.
Bro, I've been trying to get Quinn back on Club and Sub for an episode for like a year, and every time he's like, the last 2 times he's committed and then hard bailed on me at the last second. I gotta tell you guys, I hung out with Quinn in person. He is a fucking riot. That he had me absolutely cracking up.
I met him twice, and every time it's been great. I'm like, Quinn is exactly as advertised. He's fucking crazy. He's hilarious. If you like controlled chaos, you'll like Quinn.
We go to breakfast the next morning in Vegas, the morning after the first night, and like we're all pretty fucked up. Like I am. Mike was like the most put together by far. Like in classic like narco cop form was in dad form. I'm like a wreck. Shawn is worse than a wreck.
I'm dead.
Like, yeah, like Quinn is fine. Me and Quinn order cocktails at breakfast, and that's because I'm like, if I don't have a cocktail right now, like my day's done. I'm gonna go back to bed, and I'm just gonna skip the entire event. And like we're just chatting about the night before, and Quinn's like, "Yeah, I went to a club after I left you guys," and I'm like, "It was 2 a.m. when we left the blackjack table." I'm like, "Who did you go to a club with?" He's like, "I went back to the hotel and I saw a club popping, so I just hopped in there and just started dancing." It was like, all right. That's okay.
But after meeting Quinn and knowing him, you're like, adds up.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It was tremendous. But anyway, let's move on. Bets this week. Shawn, you want to take us away what your first thought is here?
On the card? Or on
not on the whole card. Just like throw me your favorite bet here.
Oh, I think we're gonna have the same one, bro. It's
Probably.
the Judice, man. Come on.
Oh yeah.
I know it's the juice. It's a lot of juice, but I think it's a levels fight, right? It's not only just a levels fight, it's an athleticism fight too. So it's like every bit of upside. And I know it's disgusting to play like minus 350, minus 340, minus 320. But at the end of the day, value's value. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the bets. I played like the GTD and the Aldrich versus Lee fight at minus 400. Fucking value. You know, like sometimes you just got to sip the juice and not worry too much. And if it loses, it loses. But I think Judice is an incredible spot. I know you feel the same. So you go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I risked 5 units on it. I mean, it's to win like 1.4 or something, but I feel like this is like a classic keep it simple, stupid moment. It's funny because I had someone, I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if you want me mentioning it on the show, but someone asked me to fill a bet for him over the summer at on Shannon Clark minus 300. And usually when someone asks me to fill a bet, I take some myself. It's like, if I respect you, it's like, and I haven't looked at it, I'm happy, you know, I want to make money off of it. So I took like 400 on Shannon Clark to win 400 on Shannon Clark at like minus 300. Obviously, she closed plus 2,000, and I'm sitting there on the night of minus 2,000. Minus 2,000. Yeah. I'm sitting there on the night of Contenders, and I'm like, should I just put like 100 on this chick plus 1,200? Like I was like, it'll just cover just in case. And in my head, I'm like, no, I can't arb out of $17 of CLV. Like that's insane. Like I've got to just ride this. And so I wrote it, no tape. And I watched the first minute and a half, and I'm like, oh my God, this Dubin chick is like the worst fighter I've ever seen in my life. And then she knocks her out, and I'm like, I just lost $1,200 on a fight that I didn't even tape, but Tuesday Night Contender Series that I had $17 of CLV on. But I look at her, man, and I'm like, I've seen some takes about her power. Dude, she caught Shannon Clark throwing a naked leg kick flush on the chin. You watch the way this woman throws combinations. They're all off balance. She doesn't sit down on shots. The women she's knocked out are all 0-0 and never had a fight before or after the fights that they had with her. Like I see nothing about her game that is special. And conversely, I bet Carrasqueta against Judice in the Contender Series. I bet Gabriela Fernandez minus 160 against her. I don't think my Gabriela Fernandez bet was a very good bet, to be honest with you. And Gabriela Fernandez, she is an absolute fucking hoss. She's not a great doctor, if you know what I mean. She is fast. She hits like I will promise you that if they were to hit the punch machine at the Performance Institute, that Gabriela Fernandez is like 3 to 4 tiers above Dubin in the power.
No. I promise you, the only person that compares to Dubin would be Ngannou. After what we watched, Dubin, the touch of death. Everybody go bet Dubin, okay? Go better. I can get more Judice, okay? So, yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I didn't tape the Clark fight. I didn't even tape that fight. So when it happened, I'm like, how the fuck did I not bet this Dubin girl? But then I did a little research for this fight, and I'm like, well, I never would have bet this Dubin girl. She looks pretty bad. So,
that's why it ended up minus 2,000. You know,
there's no good word on the street about her. There's no praises being sung about her, and her tape is bad. So I just think Judice Styles, right?
No, I've heard things to the opposite effect. I know you have as well. You know about her. And
you have to get into it though.
I'm not going to get into it. I'm just putting it out there. That's all I'm saying. It's but like I watched Judice, and look, she's very green. She's hittable, but she's obviously durable. She's got like A++ cardio, and she proactively pushes grappling. Like that. It's WMMA. That's what you want, you know. Yeah. Against a chick who's been a KO1 merchant against women that my wife would fuck up, you know. Yeah. I don't see. I do not see. I feel like I felt comfortable putting it at like minus 550 and like call it a day. And with that dynamic, if I lose $3,000 on this fight, then so be it. You know that's.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot more than 3 on it, but I priced it at like, okay, I would hammer this at minus 400. and it was like minus 330, 340 or something.
Yeah,
so
350.
At that point, it's like I'm definitely gonna hammer this. Just trust my gut. Yeah, see, Casey knows. Ngannou, touch it. Yeah. Casey, can you tweet that? Can you tweet that and get a bunch of people to retweet it, please?
Amanda Nunes has not seen shit yet.
Yeah.
Have you taken any other positions on this card?
Let me look here. I'll tell you what I'm interested in.
I would take Liana Jojua at Juice against Dubin. That is how confident I am that Dubin is a bum.
Easily.
Yes, and that is my point, because Jojua fucking sucks. Sorry, Luke.
What are you talking about here? Yeah, so I was hoping that the Nunes price would come in because I have Cachoeira, and I think the opposite is happening. So I actually got out of my Cachoeira position.
I did the same.
Yeah, because I think Nunes is better than her personally.
You know what? So, like, she is better than her. But the reason I got out, Narco said it in his Discord, and then I thought about it some more, and it's like they are both coming from opposite weight classes down to the other one. Like, Nunes has been fighting, like, women. The women she struggled with have been super tall, super long, and move pretty well laterally or could grapple. Cachoeira does neither of those things. She is taller, but she's not longer. She's going to stand there, and if I trust either of them to get their head out of the way, it's obviously Nunes. Plus, she's way younger. So it's like, what is the upside? Is Cachoeira wins a brawl, but, you know, I'm good with never having ever put a bet on Priscilla Cachoeira.
Yeah, I think we, or at least I've made a lot of money off of her, but
same.
I'm okay just chilling. Well, I've won money on her too, betting her fights, just getting lucky.
I don't think I've ever bet her. I don't think.
I remember I went head to head with you on the Mazzani fight. I had Cachoeira KO and I had her money line.
Oh yeah, that was fucking aid. Dude, Gina fumbling that fight is like, she's such a bum, man.
I remember I was at a restaurant in Los Feliz with my girlfriend and her friend, and I'm celebrating this fight, watching it on my phone. And they thought I was fucking so dumb. And I was like,
I just watched a woman get killed.
And I'm so happy right now. I'm so happy.
But like I will say to this day, I took a lot of heat for betting Sijara Eubanks minus 200 big against Cachoeira. I would hope at this point everybody realized that Sijara Eubanks would have literally skull fucked her for as long as the fight lasted. You know, it's. But anyway,
I mean, have you bet anything else? Wins ever was Eubanks versus Elise
Reed. That was tremendous.
I bet every fucking prop I could, the money line, everything. Sometimes you just get these opportunities and you got to take them.
I completely agree. Have you thought at all? So I have some thoughts. I'm curious. I haven't bet anything on this fight, but it is something when I was driving around grabbing the ingredients for tonight. For whatever reason, I ended up thinking about Sungwoo Choi and Vallejos for about 15 straight minutes in my head. Do you have any thoughts on this fight?
So for me, like, I haven't done enough research to give you anything definitive, but my gut tells me that like under 1.5 would probably be okay there, just based on Choi's fights.
Yeah, so that is in my head. The way I'm thinking about it is just like, we've seen Vallejos slow down when extended. We've seen him have issues grappling. If he's gonna pay off minus 650, he's probably knocking Choi out in the first round. That in all likelihood. And obviously, Choi's been knocked down in 6 times in 4 fights, which is pretty bearish. So I kind of like the under here because I think Choi could nuke him too. I also sort of feel if this goes past the first round, there's a pretty good chance Choi is just going to style on him for the rest of the fight. Because I do think Choi is the better fighter. He's the more experienced fighter. And if Vallejo starts losing snap on his shots, he's going to be dealing with a guy that's 6 inches taller and 6 inches longer who can kick legs against the guy who's super hittable and heavy on the league leg with maybe cardio issues. So I'm kind of thinking under and look for Choi live here. That's kind of the angle I'm approaching it.
That makes sense, actually. Fish for him.
Have you any thoughts on anything else here? Main event? Any thoughts on the main event here?
I mean, not on the main event. Dude, this is a fucking rematch, and it's like two guys that are bozos in my opinion. So it's kind of tough. I think it all depends on what Marvin shows up because Marvin should be favored, but I just can't really tell with this guy at this point. He has a lot of uneven performances in the UFC, in my opinion.
I bet 3 units on Marvin at -119. And so the take I want from you, I want it from the chat. If you guys are in the chat, some of us have seen a certain somebody saying that they spoke to Marvin in Italy and they said he's only taking the fight because he doesn't have a job yet, but he's still badly injured and he's taking the fight for a paycheck. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, could that be? It could be. But he also did the camp at ATT. So, well, what are your thoughts on it? Because I'm like, should I just cash out? I can cash out now. Like, I could easily cash out at a profit.
I mean, I could tell you the source that I already told you this, the source that it came from of that network, not from the specific person, but the main host was a former manager of a bunch of.
Is that actually true? I thought you were joking.
No, I'm not. I'm not joking.
Interesting.
So he's plugged into ATT, bro. That guy is. But I don't know if that's real information or anything. You thought that was a joke? That's not a joke, bro. That was his job.
I did think it was a joke. That's why I commented in Discord a smiley face next to your thing.
I should have clarified that.
I literally thought you were joking about it because I am a bit concerned.
He managed some of my friends who were at ATT.
Interesting, because a major surgery, or shoulder surgery is a major surgery. Like I have a fucked up shoulder, and it's completely debilitating.
Yeah. I mean, again, same thing as like last week with Turner Bahamondes. Yeah, it's one thing to know what's going on the Vettori side. It's another thing what's going on the Roman side. You
just had a third kid this week.
What'd you say?
He just had a third kid this week.
Did Cheyenne deliver?
Yep, Cheyenne delivered.
Wow. Okay, good.
He still hasn't been in a picture with her, even though they both posted about their baby. At the same time.
When people leave comments on her posts, they're like shaking my head, another baby with no daddy. And she goes, no, daddy's in the picture, smiley face or whatever. I'm like, no, he's actually not in the picture. He's in none of your pictures.
He's in literally none of your pictures. But it's also like at this point, what are we doing? If you're both going to post about a baby on the same day,
I don't
we all know.
It must be cultural or something. I don't know what's going on there, but
yeah, it's weird in Georgia. That's why they're both different.
Yeah. And Cheyenne, like what happened here? Her career's just down, I guess. Whatever.
Dude, Cheyenne I don't think she's never fighting again. I would literally I'd make it like -800 she doesn't fight again.
Yeah, why would she? Roman's rich. Roman comes from money.
He does. You can see it what he wears in the pictures he posts. And I can tell you this, 2 babies, even if you fucking work out, I can tell you from experience, women just, they are not the same, it is. And I mean that not even in looks wise, it's just, being pregnant takes a fuckload out of you physically,
Also, just think about it. Like, is Roman going to pick up the slack while she trains? Doubtful.
Oh yeah, no, and that is like Eastern Europe. I mean, it's like 1960s United States. A woman stays home with the babies, and
Chad's
it works. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else in this card, and I'm sitting here like. Maybe I'll just I'd be fine rolling with Judice being the only money line I'm holding. Honestly,
I'll just rattle mine off with who I'm interested in because I usually do 3 money line bets a card, but Judice is definitely my number 1 right now. I have, and I know we're going to disagree here. I have a lean towards Chidi at the number, and I'm curious to see where it goes because if this keeps blowing out, I'm going to be very interested in Chidi. And then the last one would be potentially Cunningham, actually. Potentially.
Yeah, Dixon just mentioned it. I am wondering so I messaged you and Narco about this earlier. Because I have similar thoughts, but what I'm wondering is is it better to play Cunningham or just play this fight to like go the distance? I really don't think this Yu guy is that much of a finish threat against even like, Cunningham's he's cousins with Bryce Mitchell. The guy knows how to grapple, he can get taken down, but I don't think he's getting insta-sub by this guy.
No.
This guy wasn't insta-subbing jobbers on Road to UFC.
Yeah.
So I feel like it goes the distance plus money, and I feel like it should be like minus 185, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good look. I mean, Cunningham, I will say, so like at the sake of sounding maybe a little prejudicial, but it's a good thing. I will say Asian guys are normally pretty durable. So you can always just assume that they're durable because Cunningham, from what I saw on the tape, I mean, and the reason why I played Moises over Ludovic Klein was because Cunningham was landing all over Ludovic Klein in that fight. I know he was getting lit up himself, but he was landing some hard shots on Ludovic, and you could tell Ludovic didn't like him. So I do think Cunningham can crack, but at the end of the day, he's fighting a guy who's Asian and can shoot takedowns, so he's probably going to survive, right? If anything. And I don't think the other guy's going to sub him because I've watched his fights, and I don't even think his jiu-jitsu is that good.
No. So that's the other thing. With the exception of Tatsuro Taira, Far East grapplers are – I mean, we saw it again last week with Ray Soria and Joshua Mann. And I'm not saying we will never get a really good Far East grappler, right? Like obviously Taira is there. It's an emerging market for MMA in China and Japan. But so far, what you've seen consistently with a lot of these guys is not suboptimal wrestling. Even the good wrestlers tend to be weak. They can't turn the corner. They tend to get out-hossed in the clinch by a lot of these guys. And I don't want to blanket put it out there, but it's like at this point, it's like a 90-10 sample of these guys not being able to wrestle even mildly physical guys, And yeah. I'm not saying it won't change, but I get the same vibe here. Like he wasn't, even his dominant performances on Road to UFC didn't seem that dominant against like pretty low level competition. So I'm very skeptical that this guy's going to have much UFC success, period. He'll take Cunningham down a few times, I'm sure, but I mean, I think Cunningham is obviously the side. It has to be, He
has to be. It's just a matter of like how big I want to go. How much do I want to risk on Cunningham? Because here's the way I'm kind of looking at it right now. I'm looking, Judice is large. It might be Cunningham small, Chidi small. Is the way that I'm looking at it. But I need to do what was that?
Span fight. Any thoughts there?
So I posted something up in Narco's Discord. The weird thing about this fight is I can see it going a few different ways, right? Which is always a bad sign when you're trying to tape something. I could see if Span does Span things and coming out hot. I could see him just, taking down Waldo and submitting him, right? I could see Span coming out and doing Span things and gassing himself out and then getting killed in the later part of the second round or the third round. I could see Span being smart because of the move to heavyweight and just kicking Waldo from range and it goes the distance.
Can you see Span being smart though?
Possibly.
I feel like that's a heavy assumption.
He has had a couple fights where he is measured. It's been to his detriment, but like, for instance, I don't think the Anthony Smith fight was some crazy hellacious performance. He kind of stayed at range for most of it, right?
He actually fought well against Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
Let's be clear here.
Waldo, here's the reason why I'll say this. Sorry. The reason why I say there's a possibility that Span plays at distance is because what does Waldo do in his fights, bro? He literally just stands there at range and looks to jab you. So it's like that gives Span a lot of real estate
upside
to feel comfortable. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I personally think Span always should have been a heavyweight. The guy's 6'5", bro. He's huge. So he always should have been one.
Let me play off of that for a second and say I have not decided if I'll bet this or not because I see all the obvious holes in Waldo's game that Span could potentially capitalize on. Yeah. I am so Dixon just said this. Span retires in the octagon. And so something I'm curious, I am not a let's look at the weigh-ins kind of guy. That's not who I am. But with Ryan Span moving up there, I do wonder what he's going to look like. Like, is he going to come in at 235, like in shape and look like this is his division? Or is he going to show up?
He looked what you'd expect. He looked like just a fatter version of Ryan Span.
Well, if he's like 250 on the scale tomorrow, I'll probably bet Waldo, honestly, because I do think, Span, to your point, he did look disciplined against Anthony Smith. And if he can fight a 15-minute fight here, I think he can win. I shouldn't say I think he can win. I think he will win if he can. Like, he's objectively the more skilled fighter here in the aggregate, Yeah. But he's chinny and historically doesn't really tend to make the best use of his gas tank ever. So yeah, I don't know.
Hold up. So he's chinny, but how much of that has to do with the fact that the guy is literally 6'5" and was killing himself to make this weight? There's no reason a guy at 6'5" with that kind of density that he has should be fighting at 205. I mean, it's not a surprise to me he was getting tired in his fights, bro.
That's true. That is true.
What the fuck did it take to even get to 205 for this guy? And
dude, he used to fight at middleweight.
That's insane. Remember, his teammate Kennedy has moved up to heavyweight now. So this could be something that this gym is sort of doing. And both of those guys always belonged at heavyweight, body type wise.
Well, Kennedy especially is a great athlete. And Span's a great athlete, honestly.
They're different kinds of athlete, right? Like Kennedy is like a cardio endurance athlete, and Span's just kind of a fast, twitchy, strong guy who gets tired, right?
It is true, and I'll admit, I find myself, one of the reasons I haven't bet Waldo and may not is I really hate having a guy who I've faded for a lot of their run up and then turning around and laying juice on them. It never feels good. I did bet him against Robellis at plus 140. Dude, I bet him at like plus 140 and he closed like plus 250.
I remember than that.
Yeah. I got like reverse CLV by like $1.
I remember because you were like pushing that bet and I was like, fuck this bet. Like I was like looking at it, I was like, nah. And then it blew out to like a crazy number where wasn't it like plus like 250 or something?
250. Dude, can you believe Robellis to Spain was a minus 300 favorite in 3 straight fights and is now out of the UFC? Like that is... Bro, I literally, you remember, and you know the Discord I'm talking about, how hard I got flamed for betting Josh Parisian against him. And in retrospect, I'm like, had Parisian just jumped on him when he tripped, he probably wouldn't have gotten up. That one, honestly. Yeah, that probably would have been it.
Yeah. Now that guy's now in Karate Combat, right? So there's a small possibility to all the fight fans watching this that we see a super fight between Robellis and Sam Alvey in Karate Combat.
I am here for, dude. Sam, wait, what's the Ambex question, Lou? Hit me with it again, because we're gonna wind down here in a second because we've been running for an hour.
What are you trying to say? I'm a whisperer of yam bags. I don't know if I want that to be.
Yam bags is the point deduction.
No, I know, but he means getting nuts kicked in the nuts. That's why he calls them yam bags. I'm guessing, right? He can clarify.
He sent me a question about it today on Twitter. I don't remember what it was, though. By the way, we're going to stick with Twitter, right? We're not doing this X thing. I refuse to convert to calling it X. Who is the ball shot bet and why is it Lima and Perez? Well, Lima's a dirty cheater. I mean,
it's obviously Lima, right? Because Lima should have been deducted like 15 points by now, and he hasn't. So yeah, Lima's. I can't bet yam bags because I'm limited at DK. So, but I would say that I would bet that plus 2,000 on Lima to commit.
I could see Marvin Vittori being an angry Italian and doing something like crazy. It would track with my experience with full-blooded Italians with the FBI.
Yeah. There's another one too that's a dirty cheater is Cachoeira.
Cachoeira is a dirty cheater who has had points deducted. That actually might be a better one. She gouged out Jillian Robertson's eyes.
Hey Lou, we've got one for you then. Official play of this show, our first official play is going to be to parlay Cachoeira point deduction with Lima point deduction.
Lima point deduction. That's got to pay. like $5 for like 100K, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yep. And when
That's the one, guys. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. We should all do it. Everybody should do it. Put $5 on it. What's the worst that could happen? We will be the most profitable show after episode 1 on Twitter if that happens.
We'll be publicizing that the show that won $100,000 in 2025 so far. That'll be our calling card.
Should we go into next card? I don't know if we need to. It's getting pretty late here.
Yeah,
let's
just cut it off. About an hour. We had planned for 45 minutes, and then we'll iron out the format for the future.
We'll figure out a more consistent cadence. I don't know if we're gonna do it every week. We might do it every week. We'll see. Me and Shawn will talk. We'll definitely recap all pay-per-views, and I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll do one next week. We'll do hot toddies since we're going to London. So,
oh yeah,
hot toddies in the spring. Yeah.
Love that.
But listen, guys, thanks for coming out tonight. Appreciate all of you. Drop a like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll get this going again soon. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take it easy. As always, me on Twitter, MMA Fox, Shawn at Shawn R. Have a good one. Good luck on your bets this weekend.
Subscribe, please. Subscribe.
Subscribe. Yes, subscribe. Like
please.
And subscribe. Take it easy.